I'm Margaret Ann Windsor, and I'm going to try to fix this. Well, so you can see it, I guess, other than my nose. Um, this is actually the first one I was putting up today. I've had my access to the internet blocked, so I'm using one provided. Well, it was blocked too, but used provided to me by my provider. Excuse me, I'm having a rough time. Okay. So now I can get the Wi-Fi, the access to the internet through my provider, at least for the time being, and to put up videos. And being cut off from the internet, everybody should think about it. What would you do if that happened? Really? Now then, that's all I'm going to say about that. I've told about my kidnapping. I'm Margaret Ann Windsor's my real name, and I was kidnapped from Buckingham Palace, 1941 at age 2. My father's Edward VIII, and he was married to my mom, Claudia Ruth O'Keefe Windsor, and he never married Wallace Simpson. It was an assassination by character and by ransom and everything else they did to my dad. He was married to my mom, Claudia Ruth O'Keefe, from Madison, Wisconsin. Artist Georgia O'Keefe is her sister, and my aunt, the O'Keefes. Very nice family, and they suffered so much in all this too. But I'm not going to go through that again. Wallace married a double, and they had doubles, and of course Wallace married the double, or one of them, and became the legal Duke and Duchess of Windsor, which is still on every video telling the lies about my dad. It wasn't my father. He was blamed for things he didn't do. What he did was he opposed the Illuminati. He would not take their orders, and thus they took him down. And they took my mom down with him, and he had papers that were legal signed that if he had an heir, it would not the heir would not be disinherited. The heir would inherit. And I was born, and so then they had the Illuminati, Roosevelt, the president, U.S. president. Talk about having your nose in some other country's business, like they're saying Trump and Russia is in collusion. Well, Woodrow Wilson, president up here, Stanton, Virginia, where Anastasia was killed. By the way, nobody likes to hear the truth. They'll come and get you for telling the truth. Amen, they will. Anyway, way back then, he and Mrs. Roosevelt, the Roosevelts, the United Nations came to be after. They took down my dad in United States and put his bases all over the UK and then all over the rest of the world, and thus the United Nations. And of course, I have to say this or someone will get angry, that Winston Churchill, whose mother was an American, boy, she was the opposite of my mom. They accepted her, didn't they? Well, I don't mean, this is the Illuminati controlling everything. United Nations is up there now because they took down my father, my kidnapping and all that. So I was brought to Moulton, Alabama, and given another name. The twins were born, like I say, out of wedlock, and their mother had killed them. And they put me there and gave me Peggy's name, which I still have to use. I married Childers. So now then, Elizabeth and that family are traitors. They work for the Illuminati. They're high-ranking members. That was as published as if I didn't already know. So they never worked for the Brits. It's been a facade where they gloated and carried out the crimes, and they're traitors, war criminals. So Charles and Camilla, or Charles and Diane, were not in line. William and Kate, and now Meghan and Harry. And by the way, I'm going to say again, in 2010, about October, November, I was told that Meghan, they didn't say Meghan, I was told that Harry would marry I thought, an African American. Well, she's biracial. So I want to get from that, because people, if they care to tell the truth, they can look at what's going on and see. I don't even know if that's Harry, but they're not in line for anything other than going to prison. So I had nothing against Meghan Markle, but there's more to this. I think the whole thing was staged. You have to show what happened to me and my sons and my mom and dad, the real monarch, and how the heist happened by the mafia global government, and show what they did to me and how these people have lived an exorbitant, luxurious life. And I think everything that could be done to a human being to torture has been done to me and my sons, who are heirs after me, not William and not Harry, my two sons. Horrible things, and you have to show that when they're talking about a newborn baby and a baby shower that was just given to her, to Meghan, back here in the States. And by the way, the news coverage was, all over it. Not just Entertainment Tonight and Special Edition, which I happen to like that program, but NBC, ABC, CBS, out of Rockefeller Plaza, right there in your face, the global government I've been talking about that kidnapped me. And anyway, they got it right up on their door, Rockefeller Plaza. So especially NBC and CBS, I don't know if ABC, I believe I got that right, ABC and NBC's right there with it on their door. All three of them are right there, your networks. So let me put this in. Meghan was invited over by a shower, and she went to the most posh hotel and surroundings and restaurant, if you want to call it a restaurant, around, to the tune of $7,000 a night, and $700,000 was supposed to be the round trip. I believe they quoted it, the plane, I forgot, it was a private plane, and real expensive when she got the royal treatment, all right, while the whole point is this ever told. The real monarch has been through, and my sons and my father and mother destroyed. It's the biggest heist in front of the whole world that's ever been carried out. And if you ever have to see videos or a movie, for God's sake, if somebody has ever made, and it's told, it's so sick what's been done, and how people reacted to me, the real monarch. And I've been told in my face, I don't care. I know you're telling the truth. I don't care. In essence, they want their families to live out and go on living, and to hell with me and mine. Didn't matter about our kid. They got offended when I would tell them. And I'm not including some that are friends now off of YouTube and Facebook. I'm talking about in general what's happened to me. It's like running me through life, and I had no civil rights. I was tortured. I was denied my father's name, my name, and my mom's, loving mom and dad, and the crimes, the torture is what I get in front of everybody. And then what was done to my babies, for God's sake. Here's this woman, Meghan Markle, that's being, the media here, they've devoted, while she was here the 5 days, at least 2 days that I watched, and I got so sick. It's a little hard to watch all this glory being showered upon someone who's not even a real, Harry, I don't know. That's not the real Harry, I don't think. It doesn't matter if he is. They're not entitled to squat. They're entitled, because they know about me and the heist of the monarchy, and who's the real one, to be locked up and serve with Elizabeth and Philip, and of course George VI is dead. They're traitors, locked up for being war criminals, not the United States, the press saying Meghan is their America's princess, while they've got the real queen sitting down here, afraid to even come on when I can get on YouTube now, because I was shut down, not by YouTube this time, not by YouTube. They didn't shut me down. It was the internet access blocked, and somebody really got my phone and accounts, okay? If I've got anything left, I'm lucky. But what I wanted to mention here is the outpouring, the exorbitant, when the acceptance of Meghan, the United States gloating, the NBC, CBS, I don't know about ABC, I didn't watch it, but they devoted so much time, at least 2 days that I watched, that was, I don't want to exaggerate, but it was, they really talked about it and covered it, and oh, beautiful and all this. Flying over with Meghan on the plane, private jet, and all the security and all the pomp and money to go to a shower, was Serena Williams, and I can't remember the other one that was on there with her, but anyway, then at the shower, all these gifts and things, and then I want, one day I hope they show what my sons, what happened to them when they were born, and to me, and compare it. All this is sick. I mean, it has to be in everybody's face where they can't ignore it anymore. And I sit here really afraid, okay? Somebody's trying to shut me up more than ever now. So anyway, Gale King is the best friend of Oprah Winfrey. Everybody knows that. She is on the CBS Morning out of New York City that I'm talking about. She's one of the hosts on there. And she was invited and covered, I guess was covering it also for the news. Wonder why they've never mentioned me. Wonder why Oprah Winfrey's never mentioned the connection to, Reverend Andrew Young out of Atlanta that was with Martin Luther King when he was shot in Memphis. But they both knew about my kidnapping. They were friends of JFK, knew totally about all this. And that's all I'm going to say right at the moment. Why has all this gone on? And not one of them about the mind control that I wrote about, murders, the Tesla files, and Larry Flint was shot while I was doing the book in Atlanta and got a letter from the FBI. And I sit here afraid that someone can come out and knock on my door or get me going out, handcuff me, and haul me off, and I'll never see the light of day. It's been hell, and I've lived because I hoped and prayed this would be told, and my sons, that they are still alive and well. All this money and all of this and the poverty and the loss, and I'm talking about torture, things you would not imagine done to me and my sons, right here in this country, in front of the world, with me begging on Facebook, begging on YouTube, begging all the media in Atlanta, and my husband went with me back then. And I worked in Huntsville, the Space Center, which hostage money for me being brought over here 45 miles away to a pigsty, that's how you got NASA. And now then, yesterday, at Cape Canaveral, it was, at one time, the name was changed to JFK, Kennedy Space Flight Center. They stole all this. They got it off of hostage money by taking down my father and invading, and the United Nations, their mafia. Your global government, right there. United Nations. Okay, none of them have mentioned any of this, and I can't get all this on this video. It's going to take about 4 hours for it to go up because it's slow. I hope I'm still getting my private that's upload to a video that's provided, or to Wi-Fi, excuse me. I'm trying to get this on. I also wanted to, you have to compare it, put it up and show what's happened to me and mine and my father and mother and country, and then show how the United States and part of my own family Some of them. Some of them went to bat for me, or I wouldn't be alive, and the British citizens and really, Germans and some Americans. So I wanted to put this into because at the shower, it's really ugly and too many reputations would be ruined, obviously. Well, what's wrong with that, to tell the truth? They're sure taking Trump down and all around him. What's wrong with once telling the truth about me that you've covered up the media? They're Illuminati control. They're talking about people committing other crimes and the ones around Donald Trump. And I don't know if President Trump is my friend or not. I thought so. I still hope so. And I hope he's not part of the Illuminati, whichever one of your presidents has been, even Jimmy Carter, who I thought wasn't, but then he appointed Reverend Andrew Young. Reverend, these people are going to get in, they preach God and all this, and how are they going to get past him? Ask that. Because I've been there, done that, and they totally know what was done to me all along, but especially April Fool Day of 80 and prior at the, what's on the Watergate tapes, the 18.5-minute gap, what they were doing to me right there in good old Atlanta. I have nothing against the city of Atlanta, and I have nothing against the state of Alabama. I don't guess. This could have been told a long time ago. It's how the crimes have been committed and everybody just, their hands are clean. Well, if you have to, I'm going to say it again because it's said to me, if you have to appear before God, you better think about it. Does he think your hands are clean? How could he? Now back to this, if I've got some time left, and this is all what I'm going to put up today. The Clooney's, George Clooney and his wife, who's from Italy. She's a famous person. Before she met him, she was a civil rights attorney, lawyer. Well, they had 2 twins, too, and that gets so much in all this mess. Twins are. My point here is they were friends, obviously. They were invited to Meghan and Harry's marriage at Windsor, Frogmore, where they now have a home. Mine, I've been stripped of everything over and over. It's unreal, and the torture. So I'll stop there because it's unimaginable that it is, that it was allowed to happen and in plain sight. But I've had no civil rights, and my children haven't. Yet these people are attending her wedding, this person that just entered into the so-called royal family, which is not them, this whole charade. And not once has anyone contacted me, although I've begged and I've told them about mind control murders and all this. I was writing about that. And Larry Flynn, I'm going to mention again, was one of them. He was shot in Lawrenceville, Georgia by a program shooter. And I end up out there, I'm skipping all the hell. You can't tell it all again, and you have to leave part of it out. But I was out at his home when the plane went down with the Gale, August 31st of 83, and it was supposedly had Larry McDonald, Congressman Doctor, aboard. He was supposed to have drowned with 286 or 96 passengers. When the Korean jetliner veered into Russian airspace. Okay, Richard Nixon was on that flight. What's he and this congressman that I've written about, both of them, doing on the same plane? And yet they knew it was going down. Nixon was taken off. Geraldo Rivera, the news reporter, was taken off just before it went off and went down, and all of them drowned.